Hello, everyone, and welcome to our USQ Plus program on the new BIPOC member grant and the accompanying Give Big fundraiser. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. My name's Mary Kimball. I'm USQ's Executive Director. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your host for tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. There will be a time at the end for audience Q&A, but also if we're able to incorporate your questions into the outline we've already prepared for tonight, we can do that as well. So to start with, I'd love for the other panelists to introduce themselves. So Carlos, your face was the first one I saw. So can you please tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Carlos Elarba. My pronouns are he, him. And I've been playing Quidditch for over a decade now. And I am on the DEI committee.
Kristin, how about you?
I'm Kristin, or you can call me Ken. My pronouns are she, they. I've been a member of the Quidditch community since 2013 as a player, coach, captain, referee, the whole shebang. My favorite position is beater. And with USQ, I'm the development coordinator on the advancement team and a current board member. So if fundraising, grant research is your cup of tea, then consider applying.
And Megan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Anderson. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Strategic Planning Manager for USQ, and I have been involved with the organization since 2012.
Before we get into the rest of our questions, Carlos and Kristin, you both have played for many years. Megan and I only get to play in the summer recreationally and all that, but you all have actually been a part of USQ official teams. Can you give us an idea of what teams you played for and the region you're from?
Ken, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I started off on Florida Gulf Coast University. It's on the west coast of Florida. Beautiful campus. And that was for like 6 years. And now I play for Terminus Atlanta. So club.
And
Carlos, what about you, Carlos?
Carlos, you're from the Southwest, right?
Yes, so I'm from the Southwest, and I started off with Sam Houston. I've played with Silver Phoenix. I've played with Lone Star. I played with Calvary. And then I've also dabbled in MLQ playing with League City Legends as well.
Is that a Calvary jersey that I see you wearing? I recognize it.
One of the older ones, but yes, it is one of the Calvary jerseys.
Awesome. So to kick the discussion off, I think it would be helpful for y'all to understand USQ's existing member grant program and what opportunities are there and how it works. So Megan, you've done a lot since you've been with USQ administering these programs. Can you give us an overview of how they work?
Yeah, so these grants are available to members of USQ, and the offerings have varied over the seasons based on needs from the community. So in the past, we've offered grants for team membership, which currently we just recently did a launch of that, offering membership, not only covering your team registration fee, but up to a certain number of player memberships as well for your team. We also have been doing an equipment grant, giving hoops to either college or youth teams who are in need of a new set. And then also we've done grants in the past that have covered fees for attending nationals. So this BIPOC member grant is a new grant that would cover a player registration fee. And it would be for athletes who were new to the club or collegiate division in the 2019-20 season, 2020-21 season, or the 21-22 seasons. So if you are a college player and you're new to the club division in any of those seasons, you would be eligible as an example.
So some of our, all of our grant programs are addressing a particular component of Quidditch that you need in order to play the sport, right? Like you need to have special gameplay equipment, hoops and bases. We require you to have membership. So can all panelists give us an idea of what are the different components, these official and kind of unofficial requirements for playing the sport? Like what, and also explicitly talking about like what do you need to spend money on in order to participate?
I'll start. So, putting aside the membership, I remember I first started with a pair of sneakers. So I never owned cleats, and after my the first time playing, I was like, I'm gonna get cleats this next time. I'm gonna break my ankles if I keep slipping on the grass. So that already was like $40 for a really nice pair of cleats. Not to mention like the mouth guards, good exercise or gear like compression shorts. Oh my goodness, compression shorts are such a big part, and compression socks. So really just like even getting involved in the sport, you have these things that end up adding up. And at one point I wore gloves because I thought that would help me hold the ball better.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that, besides the team fees, like depending on how isolated your team is, there can be a large travel cost to getting to other tournaments as well. And not every school helps with that. And when you get to the club side, it's definitely on you to get there as well.
Yeah, the closest team when I was starting out in college was probably Miami, and that's already like a 2-ish hour drive, or maybe like, Tampa, another 2-hour drive. It's a lot of driving. The gas adds up.
And I think also factored into all that travel, comes like fees for staying at hotels when you're at tournaments, the food along the way. And, if time allows, like your team might, try to go sightseeing or, do something in the area if you're someplace cool. So it all adds up pretty quickly in terms of costs.
I agree, and I don't know how it is in the other places, but here at the Southwest, I will say though, Quidditch players are good about opening up their homes to other Quidditch players to sleep on the floor, things like that. So the Quidditch community definitely tries to look out for each other and help share some of that burden and costs.
That's true, but then you're going to be in a house with 15 people and you end up being the last person in the shower and it's freezing.
So specific to the experience of BIPOC athletes, and when we say BIPOC, that's the acronym for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color, what barriers do they face joining Quidditch as a new player? Carlos, can you start us off here? I know the DEI committee has done a lot of work into this, in particular over the last year.
Yeah, I can start us off. So one of the things when you first presented me with that question that I thought about is how some sports in general can be considered white sports. Golf and tennis have a history of neglecting people and keeping people out. They've tried to change, but it's kind of hard when you're a person of color and you look at that sport and joining, like whether or not it's a place you feel welcome. So while Quidditch has tried to be inclusive since the beginning, its origins still come from a place that feels more white, in a place that not every person of color feels accepted in, from the books and things like that. And we can see that in different areas of sci-fi and cosplay and things like that, where people don't feel as accepted. So I know that we've been doing a lot to try and make sure that people of color and BIPOC people feel that they have their voices heard. And that was actually one of the key takeaways that we heard from the we had a townhouse. Oh my goodness, I'm missing the word here. Town meeting We had a town meeting where we discussed all of that, and they wanted to be heard more, and they wanted to make sure that they were in leadership positions as well. And that's one thing that I know USQ has been doing, is trying to up the amount of people of color within the organization. We're also trying to look at biases within like things like the rule book and make sure that we're taking out any of that in there and trying to make it less of where it is someone's decision, because when someone is deciding, biases play a place in that all the time. So we're trying to get to a place that it's less where the bias can form and less microaggressions as well. So one thing we can do is show commitment to these players, and we can do that by saying, hey, we want you to be here. Like, apply for this grant, stay with us, be a part of this community. There is a place for you here. We are welcoming you. This is a space where you are welcomed.
Kristin, I'm wondering if you can speak about your roles with USQ and how that's helped you better understand how we might address some of these problems that we've been bringing up. Because I know, like you said in the beginning, you're involved in a number of different ways at different levels in the organization.
So I'll start with, the topic at hand. As a previous team leader, I had seen in my own recruitment efforts how there are, when you bring up all the nuances of the sport, of course, you're talking about the exciting things of it. But the cost of membership and then all the other added costs become a barrier. You can literally see it where some people are like, I'd really love to play the sport, and I want to play it on the level that a lot of people do, participating in regionals and nationals, but it can be cost prohibitive. My school was good at helping with the team membership and oftentimes with travel. Of course, they're not covering food and stuff like that, but we weren't able to cover team memberships. And so at that point, it became how good is our team at providing help to our members through fundraising. So fundraising all the extra that needs to be done. And I remember looking to see if there were ways to support my team or players from different ways, reaching out to the community, doing these fundraisers. USQ probably was the first place that I looked, and now that there is this membership grant, I think back then I would have really pushed for my own players or new players to participate in it. It would have been really nice thing to have done. And so I'm very excited that we have it to offer for this upcoming season.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into the question that I really want to make sure everyone watching understands. How does this new grant program help address these barriers? Megan, can you start? I know that you've done a lot of research over the last 2 years on barriers for joining the sport and with your work supporting the DEI committee. So from your perspective as the program administrator, how does this help get new athletes, particularly those of BIPOC background, into the sport?
Definitely. Well, I mean, equity is, one of the pillars for DEI that helps guide and define our areas of focus. And, with that, we understand, with equity that there may not be adequate opportunities and different barriers in place. And financial barriers are ones that I know were voiced in the town hall that happened this past summer with Black Quidditch community members. And so we really see this as an opportunity to help invite people into the sport who, may be on the fence about joining, may not be completely sure. But, this grant gives an opportunity for them to try it and, also perhaps, not have to balance, where am I going to get the funds to be able to participate in this opportunity. It's there, it's for them, and they can jump right in and, be able to, get the cleats now because that money's not going towards their membership fee, and, make sure that they have the adequate equipment to be able to participate in the sport. So anything that we can do to lessen that barrier and get people in to enjoy the sport, I think will help go a long way.
I completely agree, especially for new people just joining the sport. If they don't feel like they can get access to that stuff, then the likelihood of them staying on and playing isn't very high. So any chance to help someone, I feel like is great.
Yeah, if you're a team leader, of course, I think that share this around with your players, but even a player who might be trying to start up their own team or is like trying to find a new one, if they know that this exists, it could be a big help. Something, a good reliever of that financial stress.
And I hope also that this inspires teams to be more innovative with how they recruit as well, right? Here is this grant, here is something to be able to encourage, Black, Indigenous, and people of color to join your team who may may have otherwise, maybe not thought about joining your team, or, perhaps your former recruitment methods weren't focusing on people of those demographics. Like, that's a real thing. That's an honest conversation we have to put out there and have are these recruitment methods that teams have done in the past? So, I really hope that this does inspire people to think differently, expand their reach, and look at their team and go my team is 90% majority white, 100% majority white. And, I hope that it inspires people to push to be a team like Creighton, for example, who, is over 50% of their members are, people of color. And that to me is something that shouldn't be, a rare thing to come across. That needs to become a more frequent and normalized thing that you come across in our community.
Yeah, I think most of the conversation around recruitment is centered around gender. I hear these conversations a lot. They'll say, we're missing girls on the team, we're missing non-binary people, our team is skewed one way or another. But I think that it is very important to have those conversations too about the diversity. It's important because you, as a team, get strength from your differences and being able to share those with others. It's not just differences in background or sports background, it's who you are as a team. Especially, I think that, teams should come together and do things that are important to them, like volunteering and fundraising.
I think that's a great point about how really we bond with our teams. And when we're trying to grow as people, the best way we learn is from other people. And so getting that diversity and getting all of those different viewpoints in one place, and you're all working towards a common goal. So you should be working together and learning from each other. And it really is such a great thing to see.
And Megan, your point about Creighton reminded me about a project that the DEI committee has been working on that hasn't been released yet, which is the results of the Census survey, right? There's going to be a lot more information given when we release it. But if you went to QuidCon, Shirley Liu and Brady Cannon on our DEI committee did a deep dive into it. And one of the things I think is really important for people to realize is that there are already people of diverse backgrounds within this sport, right? There are more teams that are like Creighton. We, a 20 to 30% of our community identify as BIPOC in some way, right? And of course, we have a large component that are queer, LGBTQIA+, transgender, gender nonconforming. So that retention piece and spotlighting people that are already here is so incredibly important. And hopefully, we'll be able to, as we're bringing in more people of diverse backgrounds, we can also continue to uplift those that have already been here. And that's been a big part of the work the DEI committee has been doing, right, Carlos? Because that's a pretty diverse group that has been putting in incredible work over the last year.
Absolutely. When we get into the census data, it is so much fun for me, honestly, to look at and see the different regions and kind of look and say, oh, this region seems to have more of this and less of this. I wonder what we can do to like really fix those gaps in some areas. So looking at the data is a lot of fun, and I really can't wait for it to be released. You guys to be able to look at yourselves and say, hey, well, maybe my team can do something about this. We're in the Northeast and I see that this is down. Let me see if we can kind of boost these numbers, because we do need more of these people on our team. It's absolutely fun. And Shirley and Brandy have been doing a great job. Like, honestly, I can't wait for this to come out. Just want to shout them out again because honestly, they've been putting in work.
Yeah, it's not a data visualization, but just the way that Shirley especially has enabled us to see the intersections with the data, and be able to look like within, like, what are the experiences of Black members of our community or older people in our community. It's just really, really helpful. So also thank you to everyone, to the more than what was it, Megan? Over 750 people filled it out in the end. It was an incredible response, and everyone, we're so grateful for you for giving us that information.
Yeah, because it's hard to do the DEI work when you don't quite have a grasp of like what are you starting out with, because you can't really measure how have things improved, and you can't measure the impact of a grant like this, without that initial like, where are we starting? So that's why stuff like this is important.
I agree that getting that data is going to enable us to ask the right questions and fix the problems. Because I agree, without that, we were looking at like the things that are just huge, but now we can kind of center it more and focus more a little bit on what kind of projects we want to do. So like DEI have been spotlighting people of BIPOC. So you might have been noticing we've been trying to celebrate more people as their months come up and things like that, and doing interviews and making sure all of you get to realize and see these amazing people that play, that otherwise might not have gotten to shine.
So one of the reasons we're talking about the grant program today is because we are launching our first fundraiser for it, or we have launched it. So Kristin, can you talk a little bit about what's been going on with the Give Big fundraiser and how people can donate?
Yeah, so with the goals of the DEI committee in mind, we put together this Give Big fundraiser where you can directly donate to this fund. So our goal right now is for, I believe, 3,500. So that covers 50 memberships. Yes, out of 1,200 to go. That's great. I think this morning I saw it and it was like close to like 2,000 to go or something.
I think that number might be out of date. I think someone just made a gift, and I think now it's more like, I'm awful at math, but less than that to go. So
I remember just looking this morning and I was like, okay, we're going somewhere. So I guess people got our emails and got our message. So that's really exciting. So for this fundraiser, it directly impacts the BIPOC athletes. This is a fund exclusively made for this reason. If you want to make a donation, I'd highly encourage you to. Any size, it makes a huge impact. If you have the capacity to do a small donation, progresses our goal just that much more. If you're not able to donate, please consider sharing this with your friends and family. especially get them to be aware of the grant for when it releases the applications release in summer. So, the more people contribute to it or are aware of this, the more athletes we can help. I'm super excited for this launch and, hope for its long continuing success. We're going to keep doing this. If you're not aware of it already, USQ is a 501c3, so your donation is also tax deductible. Make sure you keep the receipt for when tax season rolls around again. And also check if your workplace has a gift matching, because donations that you make can also be matched by your employer depending on how your employer works. So you can make like $10 donation, maybe your employer will match you more or so. So consider, I really hope you, you'd like to make an impact on this.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize that 100% of the money raised through Give Big will be allocated to this grant program. We want to be able to fully fund the program by the end of June. So in the event that we don't reach our fundraising goal tonight, that's okay. We're going to be setting up a separate campaign where people can give to support the first year of the program. This kind of restricted fund is really important for getting the program off the ground. And we're really appreciative of those who have given so far to help support these new athletes and their journey with Quidditch. Because we're all so looking forward to play, and being able to offer the opportunity for more people is really important to us.
I just wanted to highlight that a portion, I believe 10,000, or not 10,000, 1,050 was raised. So, part of that fund has been raised in thanks to the success of the Potterhead Running Club. So thanks to everyone who participated in that. And thank you to our partner. It has made a huge impact. It's already like a third of our goal, right? So really excited.
So if you want to help USQ in that way as well, registration for the Chaser 15 Mile, which is the virtual event that we're the charity partner for, it's still open. You can register for it through Potterhead Running Club until May 17th. And it's another great way to support the organization. And like Christine said, we're so grateful to the members of that community for showing up and helping to support it. They're a fantastic organization too, if you want to get involved. And we're hoping to get some of their fans to come to our Quidditch events too.
Yeah, register. I'm really excited for the medal that's going to come. It's so cute.
Yes, it's a really, really nice medal, y'all. It's probably fancier than most of the national championship medals we've done. I think there was like 1 or 2 years where we had like actual etched, but this is full color. So sign up for the Chaser 15 Mile online, and I'll put the link up shortly so y'all can see it. Megan, so Christine mentioned that signups are going to open later this summer. Can you give us some idea of the application process? Like when are we thinking that people will know if they've gotten the grant? Can you only apply once throughout the year? Is it rolling? What can applicants expect?
Yeah, and so to be very candid, we're still fine-tuning what those details are, but I can currently share that, we are looking to make it a rolling application opportunity that would open up at, probably in July. July, early August, right around the time when people are, getting back into that Quidditch mindset and, thinking about, okay, what am I doing this upcoming season? And, also coming back to school as well for collegiate players. The application process will be pretty simple, short answer style questions, just something to help us get an opportunity to get to know you, get to know sort of, the financial need that you might have, and, just get an understanding of, are you brand new to Quidditch? Did you join in the 1920 season perhaps? And so it'll be kind of an easy breezy process. And, depending on how many grants that we'll be able to distribute, we'll determine whether it'll just be a first come, first serve sort of basis as we go through applications, or if we'll allocate most for the fall, but maybe save some for, a January allotment for any late signups there might be. So more details to come soon. But wanting to make sure that it is, a very fair process, an easy process, and a process that makes sense for, the timeline that someone trying to register for their team, would need, so that way they can get rolling with things.
So as we're wrapping up, I'm wondering if I can get a final thought from each of y'all on what you're hoping to see in the new season as it relates to our values related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know it's a big question, so if we can take a moment to think, that's okay.
Oh, I got this. No, I am just excited to get back out there, and I'm excited to see the different teams. I think it's been so long since we've touched a field that I'm hoping these teams come out, and I hope they do take this to heart, and we see teams the ways that we've never seen them before, that they are more diverse, that those gaps are kind of closing. There's more BIPOC players out there. I'd love to go to a tournament and just see that each team is really starting to progress with that.
Yeah, I do miss playing so much, and I haven't seen so many people. I know that we've all gone through a lot of changes, a lot of hardships, but we've made it through, and I'm hoping that this really encourages a lot of people to get back out there.
I can't wait to hug people again. There's so many of you I haven't seen, and I see everyone virtually, and I'm like, oh, I just want to hug everyone and just be like, finally get to see you in person. The other thing I look forward to, with being able to do things in person, this upcoming season, is that I hope it will help foster even further, hard conversations we need to continue having as a community on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I hope that, as people, we've been talking about all of these things for so long, but, now that events will be starting, it's now time to put this all into practice in our community. Now you got to do the thing, because we're all doing it together in person. So I hope people will embrace missteps that may happen, because there definitely will be missteps. We'll have a lot of new leaders coming in. We'll have a lot of people, shaking off the dust of, not doing Quidditch for a while, and, perhaps interacting with their team and other teammates as well, in person after a while. So, I just hope people are bold. I hope people are, give themselves a little bit of grace, if there are missteps. And I hope that people continue to push for better things, because it can't just be one person. It can't be a group of people. It has to be every single person in our community pushing for change, because that's how we're going to get it done.
Just piggybacking off of that, Megan, I want to say that if people are afraid to talk to anybody else about it, reach out to us on the DEI committee. We don't mind talking to you guys. If you notice issues, feel free to contact us too. So whether you just need to know resources because you want to look into it, but you're not comfortable talking to anybody yet, or if you're on the opposite end and you are noticing that there's issues within this community, bring it to us. We really do want to address every issue. We want to see what we can do to make this a welcome and open space for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful way to close. And I'll just reiterate, I think all of us here, and I think I can speak for everyone at US Quidditch, we want our sport and our community and the events we put on to be safe and fantastic for people of all races, genders, and ages. And it's really important for us to live those values in so many different ways. And I'm really grateful for the work that our staff has done and the support of our board over the last year, and also the community as we've been able to implement some new programs and initiative to address some of the systemic problems of our sport, and also to blaze new trails. And with this new BIPOC grant program or other initiatives that we're doing with the DEI committee to improve the experience. So I'm really looking forward, like Megan said, to see how what change we're all able to make as a community as we start to return to play, and also what change we can continue to make beyond the pitch, right? I think that's one of the really wonderful things about the Quidditch community is that you see people living out their values once they're done with a game, right? If they're welcoming and accepting of their teammates, and then they carry that into the communities that they're a part of with school, work, family, that kind of thing. And so the more we can figure out how to have, actively anti-racist, inclusive, supportive, equitable, diverse programming in our sport, the more we can help make change more broadly, which I think is super important and well within our wheelhouse. If we can get through all of this, everything we've been through over the last 15 years as a community, I think our potential is limitless, and we owe it to ourselves to keep striving for excellence in that way. So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to our awesome panelists, Carlos, Kristin, and Megan. Thank you for your time. And like we said, if you have any questions, you can email diversity@usquidditch.org. You can also still donate online to the Give Big fundraiser at the link below. But we are going to sign off for the night. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great evening. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.